Geno Auriemma calls them out, calls the team immature, and then there was some criticism of Paige Bueckers, actually.
Geno Auriemma is frustrated as Paige Bueckers and UConn's powerhouse performances go unnoticed. Despite Bueckers' incredible talent and UConn's rich history, the team's games are struggling to draw attention. Why are fans ignoring this electrifying basketball force? And is she really the next Caitlin Clark like everyone is saying she is?
Now, I'm talking really, really small numbers. I'm talking 135 people in attendance. Yeah, you heard me right. 135 people in attendance to watch the number 11 team in the country face Utah State during the Daytona Beach Classic. What?
So, we already know that Geno Auriemma, the legendary head coach of UConn's women's basketball team, has always been at the forefront of the sport, guiding his teams to unparalleled success over the years.
A corner crash box out, so I'm very picky with what I'm doing right now because I'm showing the younger guys what we're supposed to do here, and so I'm just trying to lead and be an example in that way.
Yet, despite the undeniable talent of his current roster, including the superstar Paige Bueckers, the Huskies recently played in front of a mere 500 fans. This stark reality has sparked a broader conversation about Bueckers' influence on and off the court compared to that of Iowa's Caitlin Clark, who has taken the women's basketball world by storm.
Yesterday, in a game in the Bahamas, UConn played for 567 people. USC have had games at home in Los Angeles, in LA. They have had games with 3,000 of their 10,000-seater stadium. I've said this before. Caitlin Clark can go literally anywhere and she would fill it up. Like, if Caitlin Clark played a game in Ireland, let's say she went to the big arena in Belfast.
While Bueckers is undoubtedly one of the most skilled players in the game, her impact hasn't translated to the same level of widespread appeal or ticket sales as Clark's. Clark has become a household name, drawing massive crowds wherever she plays and consistently putting on performances that go viral online.
I want y'all to tell me, what do y'all not like about Caitlin Clark? Is it the media coverage? Do you not like that she complains after foul call?
Her fiery passion, deep three-pointers, and court presence have made her not just a basketball star, but a cultural phenomenon. Bueckers, on the other hand, has not had the same magnetic pull despite her extraordinary talent. This disparity doesn't necessarily reflect Bueckers' abilities. She's a phenomenal player who has led UConn with grace and skill.
If you're a college player and you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP of the WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid.
However, the difference in their star power highlights the nuances of basketball marketing and fan engagement. Clark's persona exudes flash and flair. She thrives in high-pressure situations and delivers jaw-dropping moments that leave fans in awe. Bueckers, however, plays with a more subdued efficiency that does not produce the same viral buzz despite her skill.
I want y'all to tell me, what do y'all not like about Caitlin Clark? Is it the media coverage? Do you not like that she complains after foul calls like everybody else? What exactly is the reason why I see so much hate on social media and from WNBA players? All she's doing is bringing more attention to the game, and she's very skilled. Like, whenever I watch Iowa games, her teammates always got an open shot. Please explain to me, why do y'all hate?
For Geno Auriemma, the empty seats in the stands must be a bitter pill to swallow. UConn's storied program has been synonymous with excellence for decades. Nevertheless, seeing the current team struggle to draw crowds feels like a disconnection between their on-court talent and their off-court impact. Auriemma has openly expressed his frustration, emphasizing the need for fans and the basketball community to rally behind his players, particularly someone as gifted as Bueckers. Thus, the question remains: why hasn't Bueckers' star shone as brightly in the public eye as Clark's?
Caitlin Clark, that would sell out in 10 minutes in Ireland. If Caitlin Clark played in the O2 Arena in England, 20,000, people from all over Europe will go to that and sell it out. Juju Watkins plays in Paris. The place is empty. She plays at home, there's 3,000. You go to Paige Bueckers goes to the Bahamas, 500 people. And repeat, 500.
This dynamic puts additional pressure on Auriemma and UConn to find ways to spotlight their team and reignite the excitement that once surrounded their program. It's not just about wins and losses anymore. It's about creating moments that resonate with fans and remind them why UConn basketball has always been special. As the season progresses, all eyes will be on how Bueckers and UConn respond. Will they rise to reclaim their place in the spotlight? Or will the narrative continue to favor players like Caitlin Clark? One thing is certain, Geno Auriemma won't stop fighting to ensure his team gets the recognition it deserves. But in the evolving landscape of women's basketball, that fight may be more challenging than ever.
I'd like for her to get more creative with the ball, you know? I think there's times when, we started the game with her making a great play, you know, on that bounce pass to Ice. And she's either all into throwing that a pass or all into I'm scoring no matter what. And there's got to be a little bit of a...
However, as UConn's Paige Bueckers takes the court this season, some are questioning whether the comparisons to Clark are warranted, especially when the attendance figures tell a very different story. And no doubt we know for sure that the Clark effect brings the vibes more than any other. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was nothing short of a phenomenon during her time at Iowa last year. Every game was an event, drawing sellout crowds and breaking attendance records. Clark's presence on the court turned ordinary matchups into must-watch spectacles. Fans would pack arenas hours before tip-off, desperate for a chance to witness her electric performances. Her deep three-pointers, daring passes, and unshakable confidence made her games an experience that basketball enthusiasts simply couldn't miss. Bueckers, on the other hand, operates with a quieter, more methodical style. Her court vision, passing accuracy, and basketball IQ are exceptional, but her approach lacks the fireworks that made Clark a headline-generating machine. As a result, Bueckers hasn't captured the broader imagination of casual fans in the same way. While hardcore basketball enthusiasts appreciate her talent, the buzz around her games doesn't translate to packed arenas or record-breaking viewership.
But now you ain't saying, she's playing really well. That ain't what you were saying then. Y'all know who I'm talking to. I ain't gonna call your name, but you know who you were. Caitlin Clark is the real deal. She can actually play at an elite level. Unanimous Rookie of the Year.
This discrepancy in attention also highlights a broader challenge in women's sports: the importance of personality and storytelling. Clark's charisma and fiery demeanor made her a relatable and magnetic figure, someone fans could rally behind as more than just an athlete. Bueckers, though immensely skilled, haven't yet carved out a public persona that resonates on the same level. For UConn and their storied program, the attendance slump is concerning. Geno Auriemma and the team will need to find ways to reignite the fan base and remind people why UConn has been a powerhouse for decades. Meanwhile, Bueckers faces the unenviable task of stepping out of Clark's shadow and proving that she's not the next Caitlin Clark, but rather a star in her own right.
You know how many people watched the Iowa-Connecticut game? Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers? 14 million people. Man, that's young Sheldon numbers.
As the season unfolds, the comparisons will undoubtedly continue, but Bueckers has the opportunity to chart her own path. Whether she can bring the same level of energy and excitement to UConn remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the bar Caitlin Clark set is impossibly high. Talking about raising the bar, you can agree with me that the road to greatness in basketball is never easy, and for Paige Bueckers, the journey to the WNBA is already stirring up questions. The transition from college to the WNBA demands more than just skill. It requires strength, durability, and the ability to handle the physical demands of playing against the best athletes in the world. For someone like Bueckers, whose game is built on finesse, court vision, and basketball IQ, the question lingers, is she ready? Nevertheless, Bueckers have faced these questions before. Coming off a major knee injury that sidelined her for an entire season, she had to work tirelessly to regain her form. And while she's shown flashes of brilliance this year, some believe she's yet to prove that her body can hold up under the intense physicality of professional basketball. Critics, however, point to moments in games where she's been out-muscled or struggled against more aggressive defenders, suggesting that the WNBA will only amplify these challenges.
Comparisons are kind of the bedrock of sports talk, so I'm never going to get mad at them or get tired of talking about them. I mean, I think LeBron James and Michael Jordan will probably be debated for the rest of eternity. In the women's basketball world, it's now everybody who's next with Caitlin Clark. And trust me,
even Geno Auriemma, the legendary UConn coach, has shown signs of frustration, not necessarily with Bueckers, but with his team's overall play. After a recent game, Auriemma didn't mince words, expressing disappointment in the team's lack of intensity and physicality. While he didn't single out Bueckers, his comments hinted at a broader concern. If his players, including his star guard, can't rise to the physical demands now, how will they fare at the next level? For Bueckers, these doubts might feel like familiar territory. She's always been the type of player to let her performance speak louder than the criticism. However, transitioning to the WNBA will demand more than just her signature smooth jump shot or no-look passes. It will require her to build physical resilience, adapt to a faster, more physical game, and prove that she's more than just a college star.
Not to come out in this year's draft. She has another year of eligibility. She can be a super duper senior. Like, she can legitimately play until she is 24 years old. She can go and play at 24 years old. And you know what? She still wouldn't be as old as Sedona Prince as a rookie.
The road ahead won't be easy. Critics will continue to question her readiness for the WNBA, and opponents will test her limits. For now, Bueckers has time to develop, and with a coach like Auriemma pushing her, she's in the right environment to grow. The real question isn't whether she can handle the WNBA. It's how far she'll go once she gets there. Hence, the world of women's basketball has always been a hotbed for talent, and Geno Auriemma knows how to spot a star. For years, Paige Bueckers was considered his crown jewel, a player who brought finesse, skill, and leadership to UConn's storied program. But as the season progresses, and the comparisons between Bueckers and Iowa's Caitlin Clark become impossible to ignore, a harsh reality is beginning to settle in for Geno and UConn fans alike. Paige Bueckers might not be the transcendent star they once believed, especially when stacked against the undeniable force that Caitlin Clark brings.
She's displaying some skill right now that's like, and she moving fast. Like, it look like she don't look like, it look like everybody on that court is way slower than her when she get into her stuff. Like, did you see all the highlights of the whole game?
Yeah, so she pulled 1 3, like a leaning 3. And you can just tell, like, everyone on the court's not expecting her to shoot yet. Like, we're trying to settle on our defense. Pull. Hey.
And she coming through the lane, crossing over
crazy
to the legs,
handle,
pulling
crazy
up,
footwork,
shooting, getting to the cup.
When Paige Bueckers arrived at UConn, she was heralded as the next big thing in women's basketball. Her ability to make plays, her smooth shooting stroke, and her charisma on the court quickly earned her a devoted following. But her story started changing when injuries and inconsistent team performances tempered some of that early enthusiasm. While Bueckers remains an incredible talent, her impact on and off the court hasn't reached the stratospheric heights many anticipated.
No, I don't think so. I think she's going to be the glue player in which she needs to get a touch every time she's down the floor. I think a lot of it sometimes is going to be teams deciding whether they're going to try to get the ball out of Paige's hands. And then do we see games where she has 12, 13 assists because she's had to facilitate more. But even in that same breath, she's still scoring in double figures, right? She's still scoring around 18, 19, 20 points a game. I think that's what Paige is capable of.
And there was Caitlin Clark, the Iowa superstar who has redefined what it means to be a game changer in women's basketball. Last season, Clark wasn't just a player, she was an event. Iowa's games became must-see spectacles, with fans packing arenas to watch her dominate. Her performances transcended basketball, making her a cultural icon in the sport. But the same can't be said for Paige Bueckers this season. In comparison, Caitlin Clark has embraced the spotlight with ease. It's not just about the numbers, though they're impossible to ignore. Clark's ability to dominate the narrative, to make people care about Iowa women's basketball on a national scale, is something Bueckers hasn't quite achieved. For Geno, this comparison underscores a difficult truth. UConn might no longer be the epicenter of women's basketball. Programs like Iowa, fueled by stars like Clark, are proving that the spotlight can shift, and fans are willing to follow players who bring something truly extraordinary to the court. This isn't to say Bueckers doesn't have a bright future. She does. But in the here and now, the undeniable star of women's college basketball is Caitlin Clark.
How about it? And
attendance game since 1999. Largest game in Las Vegas. Largest WNBA attendance in Las Vegas.
I love
sold out every single game where she's played home and road. They're averaging 17,000 plus.
As the season unfolds, Geno will need to reconcile these realities. His disappointment with UConn's performance and attendance figures likely reflects a deeper frustration, not just with his team, but with the shifting landscape of the sport. For Paige Bueckers, the comparisons to Caitlin Clark may feel unfair. She's a different type of player with her own strengths and style. But the narrative surrounding her career is now intertwined with Clark's meteoric rise, and escaping that shadow will be a challenge. If Bueckers hopes to reclaim her place as one of the top stars in the game, she'll need to elevate her performance, embrace the spotlight, and prove that she can be the kind of player who fills arenas and dominates headlines.
Paige is great. I think Paige is probably the leanest basketball player to ever grace our game. You look at her efficiency. She doesn't take bad shots.
For Geno Auriemma, the journey forward will be equally challenging. UConn's legacy remains strong, but the days of automatic dominance are gone. The rise of stars like Clark and programs like Iowa signal a new era in women's basketball. Whether UConn and Bueckers can rise to the occasion remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark has set a new standard, and the race to match it is officially on. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.